Today I'll be reading scriptures from the Holy Bible and two Father's words. Okay. Psalm 23:1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. Surely love and goodness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Gen 33:1. Jacob looked up, and there was Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two maidservants. He put the maidservants and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Genesis 36:1. Esau took his wives and sons and daughters and all of the members of his household, as well as his livestock and all his other goods he had acquired in Canaan, and moved to a land some distance from his brother Jacob. Their possessions were too great for them to remain together. The land where they were staying could not support them both because of their livestock. True Father's words. To be eligible to receive the love of God, we go through the process of indemnity in which Cain and Abel become one. Any two of you are in the relationship of Cain and Abel. Who loves the other more will be in Abel's position. Adieu.
So I love the Psalms 23. Who doesn't love Psalms 23? Thank you. God is good, right? What happened? God is good. All the time. That's right. God leads me to green pastures. Do you believe that? Yes. I believe it. And God leads me to quiet waters. Do you believe it? Yes? Yes, I believe it. Surely goodness and love and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. Do you believe it? Yes. Thank you. I believe it. Even St. Paul told us, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. Which all sounds good to me, because everybody wants to participate in blessings. Everybody likes blessings. But I have a little issue here, because I may be wrong, but the last time I looked, my pastures weren't as green as I would like them to be. I still have a mortgage. Yes. I still have car payments. Yes. I still have a job, which means I don't have any money, because that's why I go to work, to get money. So I sure would like to have more of that stuff. And I may be wrong, but the last time I looked, I had to lock my door on that house. And I had to lock the door on my car, because it wasn't necessarily goodness and mercy that were following me. And we all nobody wants to know what could happen to us if we let the wrong things in our house. And the last time I looked, I saw a lot of angry people out there who feel that the pastures of somebody else are greener than their pastures. Just because the color of their skin is different, or they speak a different language, or they come from a different country, they have a different background. And I may be wrong, but the last time I looked in my marriage, the waters weren't always so still. If you know what I mean. We had them choppy waters in there also. And I may be wrong, but the last time I looked, I saw a great nation, China. I saw this last week. They announced that they're increasing their defense budget by 10%. A lot of money in China. So what are they going to do with 10%? They're going to build more bombs. Going to build more airplanes, more missiles. Going to build more warships, a bigger navy. They're going to build space-based weapons. Why do they need a bigger military? Why do they need more weapons? And how will America, how will Russia, when they see this, how will they respond? What will they do? They're going to build bigger bombs. They're going to build more airplanes. They're going to build a bigger navy. Does this sound like the formula for peace? To follow me all the days of my life? Do you want to live in a future where the prospect of nuclear annihilation from several different countries is a universal constant? That's been like that for the last 60 years. So a world of peace and happiness and love and goodness, it's hard to imagine in this kind of environment. And there are a lot of people out there who are not even trying to imagine a world of peace and prosperity, a world of love and goodness, green pastures and still waters. Maybe you know some people like that. I know people like that who don't think these things are possible. They are what we call realists. They deal with reality. But I still believe all of God's promises. Do you? So I'm not a realist. But if I could, I'd like to introduce those realists to something like this: divine principle. Because this is the answer, this is the explanation that they need. Because if those realists did know divine principle, they would know there was a logical explanation for all of that human drama. And they would know that there was a roadmap to get out of the human drama, to get out of this situation, to get out of this problem, and get into that world of peace, prosperity. There is a roadmap to greener pastures and still waters where we can lay down. So let's look at that roadmap. At the time of the fall of man, Adam and Eve inherited fallen natures. What did they inherit from Lucifer? Number one. That's it. Not see God's viewpoint. Okay? What's number two? Leaving the position. You can speak loud. I want to hear you. Number three. Reversing dominion. And number four. All right. Multiplication of evil. All human problems, all the drama of all of history, and all the drama in our lives as individuals, in our families, and in our nations, all come from four fallen natures. That is the source of all human problems. They're ingrained in our souls, and we all share them. So we don't even recognize them, because we all share them. And they are the source of human misery and the source of human suffering. So, let me ask you a simple question. How can we solve human misery? How can we solve human suffering? What does divine principle say we have to do to solve human misery, human suffering? Well, if the fallen natures are the source of suffering, we have to remove fallen nature. And you will remove human suffering. We can never have peace in a world where people do not share God's viewpoint, where people try to work against each other for their own benefit. We can never have peace in a marriage where two people don't share God's viewpoint where two people try to work against each other for their own benefit. We can never have peace among nations, where nations don't share God's viewpoint, where nations try to work for their own advantage at the expense of others. It's simply no way. So if we want peace and prosperity, if we want love and goodness to follow us all the days of our lives, we don't need to pass better laws, and we don't need more education. We don't need a better economy with more money. What do we need to do? Remove our fallen natures, and everything will be better. So divine principle gives us a path to do that. It's called the foundation of substance. What is the foundation of substance? It is the condition to remove fallen nature. So let's read. To remove the fallen nature, a person must make an indemnity condition in accordance with the principle of restoration through indemnity by taking a course which reverses the process through which human beings initially acquired the fallen nature. The archangel fell because he did not love Adam. Rather, he envied Adam, who was receiving more love from God than he was. This was the cause of the first primary characteristic of the fallen nature, failing to take God's standpoint. To remove this characteristic of the fallen nature, Cain, who stood in the archangel's position, should have taken God's standpoint by loving Abel, who stood in Adam's position. The archangel fell because he did not respect Adam as God's mediator and did not receive God's love through him. Rather, he attempted to seize Adam's position. This was the cause of the second primary characteristic of the fallen nature, leaving one's proper position. To remove this characteristic of the fallen nature, Cain, who stood in the archangel's position, should have received God's love through Abel, who stood in Adam's position, respecting him as God's mediator. In this way, Cain should have maintained his proper position. The archangel fell when he claimed dominion over Adam and Eve, who were his rightful lords. This was the cause of the third primary characteristic of the fallen nature, reversing dominion. To remove this characteristic of the fallen nature, Cain, who stood in the archangel's position, should have obediently submitted to Abel, who stood in Adam's position. By accepting Abel's dominion, Cain should have rectified the order of dominion. The fourth primary characteristic of the fallen nature is multiplying evil. To remove this characteristic of the fallen nature, Cain, who stood in the archangel's position, should have been receptive to the intentions of Abel, who stood closer to God and learned God's will from him. Thus, Cain should have made a foundation to multiply goodness. There we go. So if we want peace and prosperity, if we want love and goodness, we have to make a condition to remove the fallen nature. The story of Jacob and Esau is wonderful. It shows the two brothers overcoming the situation and getting together again. There are two people forgetting about themselves and working together for the greater good. But it also shows us what follows after they get together. They were so blessed, they were so prosperous that the land could not hold them. They had so much blessing that they had to move away from each other. They had too much of everything after they removed their fallen nature. After they removed their fallen nature. Divine principle teaches us that through the offerings of Cain and Abel, God teaches us that fallen people must constantly seek for an Abel type person. By honoring, obeying, and following him, we can accomplish God's will, even without understanding every aspect of it. Well, that's good, because I sure don't understand every aspect of this. Because I don't think Esau knew anything about a foundation of substance when he forgave, loved, and accepted Jacob. But when he did forgive, when he did love, and when he did accept Jacob, he removed his fallen nature. And when you remove your fallen nature, peace and prosperity follow. So I want peace and prosperity. Am I the only one? Raise your hands if you want peace and prosperity. Okay. Paul said, who wants what he already has? Nobody. So we don't have peace. We want peace and prosperity. We don't got peace and prosperity. We need to remove our fallen nature. I want goodness and love to follow me all the days of my life. So where do I go to remove my fallen nature? Who is my Abel? Now, when I joined this church, and for all the older members, not so much for the children, but we had a very, very clear structure. We had a hierarchy, and Abel and Cain, and everybody knew their position. Who was Cain, who was Abel? And so we followed our Abel. But we're not in that hierarchy anymore. We're not in that environment anymore. So who is my Abel? Pastor Manoj? Huh? Is it Pastor Manoj? Isn't Pastor Manoj have a... They're not getting a good response here. No, but, well, yeah, he's not here. He can't be with you. He's not everywhere at the same time. But the divine principle teaches us the universal tendency to seek out good leaders and righteous friends comes from our innermost desire to come before God through an able figure who is closer to God. By uniting with him, we can come closer to God ourselves. In this way of life, we may meet our able figure and thus secure the way to go before God. So everybody has an innermost desire to go to God. But how do we go to God? We have to remove our fallen nature. So, who is my Abel today? Who is going to remove my fallen nature today? So that peace and prosperity can follow me all the days of my life. Who? We read Father's words. Any two of you are in a relationship of Cain and Abel. Does that mean me and Josephine? Does that mean me and Noriko? Yes. Does that mean me and Bruce? Yes. That's the ultimate Abel there. I'm terrible. Yeah, I have good news and bad news. Everybody is your Abel. That's the good news. And what's the bad news? Everybody's your Cain. You got that right. Your boss can be your Abel. He can be a miserable boss. He can be a miserable human being. You work for him, right? He's drunkard. He talks about his girlfriends all the time and his wife. He talks about all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I have. But he can be your Abel because he can help you remove your fallen nature. He sure can. How many people know that movie El Cid? And El Cid was a famous knight back in the days of the Crusades, that kind of time era. And his Lord, his leader, was a miserable, pathetic human being. And El Cid was noble and wonderful. And El Cid, it was a very touching story because El Cid was so great and this guy was so miserable. But he helped El Cid elevate himself to even greater levels. So you can be at work. At my job, I have 30 people under me. Unfortunately, none of them came here today, but I have 30 people under me. And I have to be able to them, and I have to do the right thing. I have to, if they can follow what I direct them to do, if they do what I tell them to do, we can have peace and prosperity. We can work and we can be successful. But if they want to go their own way, if somebody wants to take a long break, if somebody wants to do something else than what I tell them to do, we can't have success. We can't do what we're supposed to do because I have an Abel above me, and he gives me some direction. I have to do something. So my job is to make my people do what the boss tells me to do. And if I make them do it, if we get successful, I can get them a bigger raise. I can get them more money. We can always try. We can always try, but there's no other. The only other way to get money would be to steal it. You could steal the money. But I prefer to have them give me the money. Because if they give you the money, they can't take it back. If they give it to you willingly, they can't take it back. So I want to make my people more valuable. We have better accomplishment. We offer more to the company. And we have better success than anybody's ever had before. If you worked at the fish house, you know what I've done. But that's what I have to do. So if we hopefully, we can remove our fallen nature, follow our direction, and peace and prosperity follow. So from my point of view, anybody who's doing a better job than me is my Abel. And so if I want to know something, I look at people who know something. I like witnessing. I want to witness to people, but I not do a good job of it. But I heard where Mr. Taquino is doing witnessing at NJIT. Every Monday, he said, he's inviting people, come down and witness with us. So I said, he's my Abel. He's doing what I want to do. He's doing better than what I want to do, so I'm going to go there. So every Monday, right after work, I go to NJIT. Right after work, I go there, and I spend 2 hours, 2.5 hours there. I go witnessing with the young people who don't know almost nothing. They can hardly even say what they think. They're like, remember back in MFT when someone asked you what you believe in, and you... Now we know what we believe in. Young people, they can hardly explain what they believe. But they're my Abel. Those are my Abel. I have to follow them because they're doing a better job than I'm doing. And I have to follow them. So that's it. So that's why I go there. Anybody who has what I want, that's my Abel. All right. How about our marriages? Lots of bad marriages out there. Lots of situations out there. Lots of people suffering in this intense, passionate, intimate relationship of love. So many marriages are struggling. You probably know some people. Why are they struggling? Because they have fallen nature. How will we cure their struggling? We have to remove the fallen nature. So any two of you can be in a relationship with Cain and Abel. Does that mean husband and wife can be Cain and Abel? That's right. Somebody's got to be Abel. Who? Who's Abel in your marriage? Of course, it depends on the situation. Whoever's the most righteous, whoever is the most righteous in that situation is Abel. So I could tell you, I was MFT back in the 70s. A lot of you don't remember the 70s, but I was on MFT back in the 70s. And then they told us one time that father asked the Japanese church to donate $1 million in 1 month. $1 million in 1 month. Oh, that was stunning. Stunning. But then, at the end of the month, there was an announcement. They made it. The Japanese members donated $1 million this month. Unprecedented, unheard of. 1 month, $1 million. And Reverend Moon was so ecstatic, he rewarded them. How? The next month, he asked them for $10 million. $10 million. I mean, of course, we were like, geez, oh my God. Anyway, it was like that kind of time. But of course, I don't think it was the next month, but within 3 months, they made the announcement. The Japanese made $10 million donation. That's amazing. Just amazing. It was amazing. Everybody was amazed. But then you start to hear the stories. How did the Japanese donate $10 million? You started to hear about what the Japanese were doing. People who were selling their houses to make a donation. People were selling their cars to make a donation. People were taking out loans to make a donation. Then we began to realize how much were the Japanese suffering? How were they so dedicated? How were they so determined that they would not fail, that they would sacrifice so much to make the donation? But a little bit later on, after I got matched with a Japanese woman, I did some thinking. I said, I got me a Japanese wife here. And I know, lucky for me, I was there, because I didn't get, matched till 3 or 4 years later, but lucky I was there when I saw that, because I know something about Noriko. She's Japanese. These Japanese are crazy. Give her that donation. She'll do it, I thought. She'll do it. And that could become a point of contention in any family. So before we started our family, I told myself, it's a package deal. You get the whole thing, so you take all of it. So whatever donation she wants to make, even if it means we have to live on the street, I won't say one word about it. Didn't say I encourage her, but I wasn't going to say anything to her because I would never want her heart to be troubled about making a donation. So, remove our fallen nature, peace and prosperity follow. At least I always have that in my pocket, that she knows I never objected to her to give my money away. I never said anything. You can ask her. And we gave away some money, not as much as a lot of other people, and maybe more than some other people. But I live in prosperity in my life because I grew up so poor that the amount of money I make now is, unbelievable to me. I grew up so poor. So God has blessed me. I have a house. It's the smallest house in Belleville, but it's a house. And I own it, except for the mortgage. But peace and prosperity, that's my reward. That's our reward if we behave like that. How about when we remove our fallen nature, peace and prosperity follow? We all have that experience. How about when we do the right thing? Do peace and prosperity follow? Not necessarily. In the 1960s, there was a lot of civil rights activity, of course. You've read about that in your history books. You've heard about it. I was there. And people became aware, more aware of the problem between the races, black and white. And the government even passed laws against racism, racial activity, racist activity. They passed laws, well-intentioned laws, telling people to do the right thing, telling people to behave in the right way. In the 1960s, how did that work out? People are still saying, we have to pass laws. We have to do this. We have to do this. We have to do that. They were well-intentioned people telling people to do the right thing, but they didn't remove their fallen nature. They didn't remove anybody's fallen nature. So the right thing didn't happen. Peace and prosperity follow when we remove our fallen nature. What about China? How should we take care of China? How can we take care of China? Or Russia, for that matter? How can we take care of China or Russia? What's the first thing we have to do? Remove my fallen nature. Remove our fallen nature. We have to remove our fallen nature to do something. So when they build more bombs, we better build more bombs. We better be strong. That's one aspect. Because evil will attack as soon as evil thinks it can win. So you can't let them think they can win without getting a nuke shoved up you know where. We have to do that. But that's just the secular version, the secular solution. To win the war, we have to be working on the other side as well. We have to be doing what Jacob did with Esau. How Reverend Moon treated North Korea. How Reverend Moon lived his life. These show us the pattern for winning. This is a very high-level thinking. Yeah, we have to be strong. But at the same time, we have no negotiations. We never negotiate. We never accept any negotiation. We give love, we give and serve. We don't negotiate anything. We never let them tell us what to do. But we love and serve them. Father did things like send little angels to North Korea to perform, to make people happy. We have to do things with the Russians. We have to do things with the Chinese. We have to connect on a heart. We build a bomb. You want to build a bomb? I'll show you a bomb. But we have to connect. And eventually we know if we remove our fallen nature, peace and prosperity will follow because they will come over to our side. You can't have a war when everybody's on the same team. Divine Principle says in relationships at every level of society, from those between individuals to those at the level of families, communities, societies, nations, and the world, we find that one party is in the role of Abel and the other is in the role of Cain. In order to restore society at each level to the state originally envisioned by God, those in the Cain position should respect and obey those in the Abel position. What is the state of the world that God originally envisioned? What did God envision for the world? Peace, happiness, love, goodness, greener pastures, still waters for everybody, of course. Peace and prosperity everywhere. So let me ask you, who is your Abel? Right now, who is the person who can help you remove your fallen nature? Everybody is my Abel. or should be. Of course, some people are gonna disqualify themselves quick, but don't worry, just treat them like Abel. Because the greatest gift that I can give to the world is to remove my fallen nature. Because if I remove my fallen nature, then there's a chance that we can live in a world of peace and harmony between nations. The greatest gift I can give to my boss or my employees is to remove my fallen nature. Because the greatest gift I can give to my boss and my employees is the chance, the possibility that we can have peace and prosperity, that we can be successful, we can make money. We come to work to make more money, let's make more money. The greatest gift I can give to my wife and children is to remove my fallen nature. Because if I remove my fallen nature, there's a possibility that our family can experience free-flowing, passionate love. That's divine principle. Love that is eternal, unchanging, unique, cosmic, divine. You want to experience that kind of love? I have to remove my fallen nature. The greatest gift that I can give to God, to true parents, and to Jesus is if I remove my fallen nature. Because if I remove my fallen nature, there's a chance that God and true parents and Jesus could be happy. So brothers and sisters, let's make everyone our Abel so we can remove our fallen nature and let peace and prosperity and love and goodness follow us all the days of our lives so we can dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Thank you, and God bless.